Big Boy Album 10 from Kerser. The album that so many people have anticipated, not only for the last 10 years, but also the past 2 or 3 since his previous album, number 9. He took more time on this album than he has with any other album, due to just being in the cycle of trying to do 10 albums in 10 years and basically putting out an album, then going on tour, and then by the time tour finishes, you're back in studio to make the next album. And kind of never really having that room to breathe, to work on something properly. And I think that was a very, very smart move by Kers, and I think it pays off massively in this project. I will say now that this is my favorite Kerser album out of everything that he has dropped. Now, understand, that's coming from the perspective of someone who has not grown up listening to Kerser. I have not got that nostalgia element that so many of you guys will have, you know? So when I listen back to things like The Nebulizer, it doesn't hit me the same way it will hit some of you, okay? I look at this from way more of a neutral perspective as someone who is newer to Kerser's catalogue. Within saying that, from a music standpoint, from a writing, production, storytelling aspect, this album trumps the rest of them. And I think that is due to not only Kerser's maturity and how he's evolved as a person and as an artist over the years, but also just the extra time and care that he was able to put into this project. It makes a huge, huge difference. I just want to go through kind of, not track by track, but kind of just group these tracks into 4 or 5 different categories, just to give you an idea of what I feel of each kind of song, without going through, obviously not it being a reaction, but yeah, let's talk about some of the good tracks from this project. So here's the good tracks, as I'll call them. These are anywhere between, like, yeah, that's an average track to, you know what, that's actually a really good track. Kind of that the bulk of the album in a lot of ways. The bread and butter of what Kerser is and what Kerser does. Many different styles among this. And that's something that Kerser does really well across this project. Despite bringing different flavors and different sounds to one project, it's still ultimately Kerser, and that's what gives it that consistency, that continuity. Yeah, we're gonna, because it's an album review, you got to bring up big words. So yeah, that continuity throughout this project. And yeah, when I look at these tracks here, I definitely feel like that's what he brings, whether it's more hype tracks like Tell 'Em How, or down to the more storytelling ones, you know? I feel like The Main Event is a really good intro to this project. I feel like it sets the tone, it sets the kind of, the boundaries of what to expect from this project, which you could kind of see coming anyway, but he reaffirms that within that intro. So yeah, I'd say these are the good tracks. Here are the great tracks. These are the ones that are definitely the better work, and these tracks are the product of more time. Maybe Kerser made some of these tracks within 20 minutes. Maybe he spent more time on them. I don't know, but these just feel like the ones that just stand out that little bit more to me. These ones are the ones that I'll probably go back to. I will probably recognize a bit more by name. I mean, yeah, you've got lead singles like Winner that just work. Great video, and just do a great job of just kind of Kers being able to talk his shit, you know? It's like he's put in so much over the years that it's kind of them crowning moments. It's like the victory lap kind of tracks, you know, that just really encapsulate everything that he's done. He's got steezy ones, he's got storytelling ones, he's got more chilled ones. Like, I really enjoyed the more low-key cuts on this project. Like, Kers does a really good job of making some chilled tracks. And yeah, like, yeah. Dexter does a great job in Ask About Me. And that's one thing that stood out. There was not many features whatsoever. I believe that was the only one. There was a couple of sampled hooks. I don't know if they were written fresh and just weren't credited to the artist or whether they were samples. But it's such a strong project for how little features there are. You've got to remember, there are 23 tracks on this project. Anything over 20 tracks worries me. Any project that has 20 plus tracks worry me because I'm always afraid that they get bloated. Now, there are 3 or 4 tracks on here that I do not like. They will be skips for me and my personal taste. Let's talk about them. Whether it be because the production just winds me up, or whether it just be that it's just not it. So Good is not good. I don't like this track whatsoever. And I get it. I get how some people will like it. It's just not a good track in my opinion. It's fun, it's playful, but it's not a good track. It really isn't. Like, I found myself laughing at this track. I did. But it's not directed for people like me. It's not for the proper music heads. It's for the cunts that just want to have fun. And you know what? For that reason alone, I hear it. But these ones here, yeah, not for me. Not for me, Chief. But then I do want to talk about 3 tracks that really stand out from this project.
I told my girl kick back and chill. She said you told me at the start, I can't believe it's real for real.
First off, the production on this track is ridiculous. Yeah, it's such what, like when I was talking about them lo-fi chilled bangers, this is what I'm talking about. Tracks like this. High Demand is great because it's one of them stories and it's one of them perspectives that he tells that I want to hear about. When I talked about Kerser's album before this dropped, I wanted to hear the most mature and grown-up version of him, and this is a perfect example of what I wanted to hear. This might not be a cut that everybody else enjoys, but it kind of was the thing that I was looking for out of this album. Kind of talking about, you know, knowing his worth and reflecting on that with his missus, and you know, it's just done so well, so well in my opinion. I think out of the 3 that I'm about to show, even this is arguably my favorite out of the 3. I'd argue this is my favorite track from the album, and one of my favorite tracks of the year so far. I really like this track.
He cry, she there, she cry, he ran, he lie, she care, she lie, he scared.
Love stands out to me because it's a great example of Kers doing his storytelling-ish, you know? Like, it's just real cool to just see his perspective on this story and how he tells it. The simplicity within his writing allows it to be an easy to follow story, but the complexity in how it ties all together and whatnot, again, along with really nice production on this one. Modern Love is another standout track, and again, it's one of them kind of tracks that I think only a certain level of experience can tell in the way that he tells it. And so yeah, Modern Love is another standout track in my opinion. Like I'm Trapped was one of the lead singles that had a music video. Really cool music video as well, by the way. And I liked the song when I first heard it. But in the context of this album and where it's been placed, I feel like it elevates it. I talk about the importance of track listing your projects properly. This is a project that is paced very well. It knows when to lift you up and it knows when to drop things back down, and it takes you on that roller coaster effect. Like I'm Trapped, I never thought of it as one of the closing tracks, but it makes a lot of sense by being the second to last track 22 out of 23. It makes a lot more sense at this point of the album, and I also think just based on the other content that we have in this project, it contextualizes this song more. It gives more meaning to it. It adds, more context. It just adds more story and backdrop to it. I feel like this went from a good track to an amazing track because of how it is put in the album, where it's put in the album, the pacing in which it enters at. You know, it's such a contrast to So Good. It's such a contrast to that track. Where you go from one of the ones I dislike most to one of my favorites, and I don't know if that has a part to play in it also, but yeah, it just feels like it's in the right place, right time. Like I'm Trapped is one of my top 3 tracks of this project. And so yeah, that's us talking about the tracks themselves, but overall with this project, I mean, I've touched on most things I wanted to really touch on. This is my favorite Kers project, and they're mostly my reasons why. It just feels like the most mature, grown-up version of him. It's what I wanted, and he's delivered on it and more. I was a little bit worried about 23 tracks, but I feel like it's actually delivered really well. I could argue it could be maybe 18 tracks instead of 23, but even then, I'm still not mad at it. Favorite Kers project to date. And a lot of people have been saying the same thing too. And I think it just shows that when you put a little bit of extra care and a little bit of time into what you're doing, that it makes a huge difference. And that's not to say Kerser hasn't cared, you know? But I think he just got it stuck in his own routine, his own rules that he set for himself, and then realized, you know what? No, I'm going to break that to make better art, to make better music. And I'm glad that he's ended on such a haymaker of a project. Hopefully he's still involved in music in some way, shape, or form going forward. But if he isn't, he's given more than enough to the game. And a lot of you guys watching this will understand that even better than I will, you know? Again, this, my commentary is from the perspective of a Pommy who did not grow up listening to Kerser. I did not grow up in Southwest Sydney. I did not, you know, different cultures, different times. And that's where I can only understand so much about what this project means. I'm sure for some of you, this is such a bittersweet moment. And I want some people to tell their stories about that. I want you to tell me, how does it feel now that you've listened to Kerser's project? Did it live up to your expectation? Is it your favorite? Is it somewhere in the middle? I definitely don't see many people saying this is one of his worst albums. I can't see that. I think objectively you have to put this somewhere up there. Even if it isn't your favorite, fair enough, but I don't think you can ever tell me this is even in the bottom half of his 10 albums. Yeah, honestly, I think it's his best. And I think most people would agree with that. But let me know what you guys think. Big ups to Kers. Big up to everyone that was a part of this project, from videographers to producers to anyone, you know? So yeah, I wish nothing but Kers the best in what he does going forward, whether that is music, whether that's other adventures in life. And I'm sure a lot of us do. He's got a tour coming. If I remember to, I'll post a link in the description. I should remember to, because I should stop being a lazy cunt and actually watch back when I'm editing. But the truth is, sometimes I just skim through because I ain't got enough time. So if I haven't, remind me. Someone just starts spamming the link to the tour in the thing below. And if you're watching this way later down the line when the tour's already happened, tell me what tour was like. Tell me what the show was like. Hopefully I can make the Sydney show and see a lot of you guys there. But yeah, big ups to Kers. Big up to everyone a part of the team. And yeah, this was a gift and a curse.